What's going on YouTube? CDA Green here, back with another video, and today we got a Jubilee video, you know what I'm saying, another reaction video. I'm enjoying these as well, trying to keep the content fresh, you know what I'm saying, something for a little bit of everybody, you know what I'm saying. And today the video is titled Light Skin and Dark Skin Middle Ground. And of course that has to do with black people, and of course I'm black, you know what I'm saying, so I feel like I'm well qualified to speak on this topic. Now we got light skin and dark skins, which, needless to say, you know what I'm saying, black people are categorized into different groups based on skin tone, like how light or how dark you are. The far ends is light skin and dark skin, you know what I'm saying. You got brown skin, where I feel I fall in the middle. And I ain't gonna lie, bro, brown skins, they always been in style, you know what I'm saying. It's like, you can never go wrong with a brown skin man, brown skin queen, you feel me? So yeah, light skins, they was real big back in the day, but you know what I'm saying, not so much anymore. They've been having a bad rap painted on them, like they a little zesty, they like Drake and things of that nature. And then dark skins, you know what I'm saying, it's like, if you was dark skinned growing up in school, bro, you probably know you was probably getting bullied. People was probably like, where they at? I can't see him. You know what I'm saying? It's just what I hear. I didn't experience it personally, but it's funny to bid on dark niggas. I ain't gonna lie. Whoa, no racial. I'm black too. You feel me? I'm black as well. But yeah, both sides, you know what I'm saying, they didn't have they spotlight, because dark skins, they more in the shine right now. They getting they shine. So I feel like this video is kind of like a conversation between the two, as in their experiences. Have they ever been like discriminated against, or which people think is the best brand of black people, like other races think is the best brand of black people. So that's only a guess, but we gonna find out when we start the video. You know what I mean? Like, comment, subscribe. Appreciate y'all for watching. Let me know if you want to see something similar. And without further ado, we just gonna get straight to it. Appreciate y'all.
Being light-skinned in that sense, sometimes you feel like you don't necessarily have a home. I'm trying to be with my people, but then it's like, oh, well, you're not really black enough.
Within the justice system, we're typically penalized more harshly than light-skinned people, just on average.
I'm just curious if you've ever been close to skin lightening, bleaching.
Yeah.
You almost did?
Yeah.
That's crazy. Hey man, love you for whoever you are. Don't ever feel the need to change something about yourself that isn't natural, like you got to undergo surgery or some type of chemical processing. Like, you don't need none of that. You got to embrace yourself for who you are. You was made the way you is for a reason. Love yourself, you know what I'm saying? Love yours.
I don't feel comfortable being labeled by my skin tone. If you agree, please step forward.
I feel them on that.
The
For
reason
me,
I
it's
feel
not
like
that
I
serious.
don't like being labeled is because I don't like when people say that light-skinned women are so, oh, you're submissive, you're this, because I know ultimately what they're trying to say when they say that. It's saying something and then also not saying something really harmful about darker skinned women. And it upsets me. Number one, don't put me in no box.
Right.
And then you put me in a box that also negatively impacts another group of women. And I don't like that.
Word.
My opinion around the whole colorism issue in general is that we're black. So I don't want to be a light-skinned black woman. I am black. I am Sabrina. I'm a black woman, and I'm my own woman, and I don't associate with the stereotypical light-skinned woman and what they do and what they portray.
Right.
So I'd rather just be considered a black woman, just like a darker-skinned black woman as well.
Do you think in a sense like that, people can maybe think that you're saying, well, I don't see color?
So that is kind of my opinion, and it is kind of like what white people say when they don't want to be racist, I don't see color. And my own family primarily are all dark skinned.
Right.
So growing up, I didn't. I saw beautiful people. I saw my family. I saw my dark siblings. And that's just what it was.
Gotcha.
Until
Word too.
recently, the conversation has really come up to the point where I'm starting to ask them, like, what was your experience? And they too say that they didn't have a negative experience for real. I literally see black people, I see white people, I see Mexican people, and that's what it is for me.
Can we have the disagreeers step
That is
forward?
true. For other races, it's not like a little darker, you feel me, like darker shades. At least there is, but they're not referred to as such. At least I don't think. Maybe for Mexicans or something like that. Maybe because most of the time, the other races, their skin tones are pretty consistent across. Like, you don't got like dark, brown, light skin like black people do. But yeah, it's crazy when you think about it like that. Like, to label somebody by the tone of their skin, like, it's like black. Like, of course, black people aren't actually black. We're more brown than black. But yeah, dark skin, light skin, brown skin, it's all just like terms under the umbrella of black. You know what I mean? So why separate us even further? We all black. You feel me? We all can relate to each other in more ways than one. So yeah.
Girl, I'm nervous.
Can I just say one thing to you first off? I've dated a couple light-skinned girls. Ain't nobody said they were submissive, first off. The reason why I didn't step forward is because
I never heard that
dark skin,
light skins
like
being
everybody's
submissive.
starting to find out, the science is starting to agree. Dark skin is where it started, baby. And the reason why
I feel like
think
it's more so
I'm
that dark
okay
skins are
with being
just
called dark
seen as
skin
more aggressive.
and why I love the fact that there are light skin is because we have to realize that all of these people came from this prototype. Like, I look at these beautiful dark-skinned people over here, and I always love the darkest people because they have no pimples, no nothing. It's just pure perfection.
Beautiful skin.
And excuse
They
me,
do be on
this is
point.
not
They
an
skin do
extremist
be
view,
flawless.
but we all know that dark is dominant and light is recessive. And I don't think that it's a negative thing to be called dark. I think the media wants us to think that, but I don't think it's a negative thing to be called dark. We're the originals, so that's great.
I acknowledge that we should not have to have these divisions and these terms. One term that illustrates that to me is brown skin. You know, the black people who are kind of in the middle. How ridiculous does that sound when we're all variations of brown? You understand?
Right.
However,
Facts.
I didn't step forward because I'm not offended by being called dark skin. I will say there is a dehumanization that does occur with this labeling, like for instance, on social media. A light skin, a dark skin, that drives me insane. Now, I just wanted to address just a couple things you said. First, I want to say I'm very glad that your family members have not felt the impact of colorism. I'm so happy to hear that. I wish that was the dominant reality for dark-skinned girls. Unfortunately, it is not. We have to remember colorism is not just social, it's systemic as well. Even if they haven't necessarily felt the way that dark skin is perceived in society, that doesn't mean that they may not one day feel that. I hope
Completely
not.
understand.
Yeah.
And that one thing I think that adds to it, though, is how you were raised. My dark-skinned siblings are my step-siblings. So my mother is light-skinned. My mother never mentioned our color. You know what I mean? Whereas, like, some parents will, like, prep you for the conversation. It was just never a conversation.
Yeah. We all got prepped. Did you guys all get
So,
prepped?
Yep.
and so
Oh,
that's
you
what
never
I'm
got
saying. Even when I plan on having kids, I date a dark-skinned man.
Yeah.
Potentially, I can have a dark-skinned child.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna go around just prepping them for the worst. I want them to just know that they're black and they're beautiful, whatever tone they come out.
I have to say, honestly, we're all black and all lives matter are the same to me. In the sense that both statements are true, but neither do anything to address the issue at hand, so they're meaningless. Yes, we're all black. However, some black people are further marginalized because they are dark-skinned. And I understand what you're saying about not wanting to beat your children down with the idea of oppression, but not talking about it is not going to make it go away. My mother was extremely affirming to me as a dark-skinned little girl because she understood that if she didn't do it at home, when I get out into the world,
Exactly.
you know, we ain't in Kansas no more.
Completely understand. But it's also when I say we're all black, is like if we were to get pulled over tomorrow, I'm black to a white man, to a white cop. What my point is more so is
That's
that
true, but to a certain extent, like, say from a white person's perspective, I feel like the reason why light skins were so glorified back in the day, like if you take it all the way back to like when it was like in the 1900s, like civil rights era, being a mulatto, like that was taboo because you're mixing black and white. Like that wasn't the thing to do. To whereas now that black people are finally accepted, they're like, oh, you look a little more like us, being whiter, lighter, so we like you more. And those who are darker or look more black get like pushed down, like they get oppressed even further in that manner. So I feel like, yeah, I think maybe that might be the origin of why these whole categories all started.
that we are dividing ourselves with this conversation as well. And I don't want that for us. I want us to just be on the same page because that way we can move forward in life.
My immediate reaction was no. solely because
Where
like,
this nigga
I am a
come
light-skinned
from?
person. You know what I'm saying? But then you kind of brought up
Nah,
how
I'm
like
playing.
what's tied to it are the stereotypes that come.
I did
with being
not
a
peep
light
him. Was he
person,
sitting
light-skinned
down with
person,
them
or
the whole
you-
time?
I don't want that for us. I want us to, we
Well,
are
that's
definitely
crazy. I
engaged
did
because
not
that way we can move
notice
forward in
that, man.
life.
My immediate reaction was no, solely because like I am a light-skinned person. You know what I'm saying? But then you kind of brought up how like what's tied to it are the stereotypes that come with being a
Right.
light-skinned person or a dark-skinned person.
Right.
And those can be detrimental
Yeah.
to a light-skinned person or a dark-skinned person.
Yeah, right.
Do you believe that those stereotypes are majority true though?
Whether they're true or not is kind of irrelevant. The fact that they're detrimental to people, I think that's the problem itself.
So when I first heard the prompt, I think when I was younger and I was growing up, like being dark skinned was something I would like try to run away from because of the negativity surrounding that term. But like as I grow up now,
Now, I
and
wonder
I'm,
why
like,
they
living in a
think,
time where I
like, the
see,
logic
models,
behind
I'm
them
like,
thinking
yeah, and like all these
dark
people
skin
look
is
up to them.
worse.
Girl, don't talk about that. Look at your skin, girl. Where the light coming from?
And like being more confident in myself, I'm like, yeah, I'm dark skinned, what about it? I also like it because I think when it comes to the Black community, we're not a monolith, so I think it is good to like display that we are a diverse group, even though we are pretty large. On the other side, I do see how people nitpick a bit too much and pay like way too much attention to the details.
Yeah.
So sometimes I'm like,
Especially in terms of like dating, like people are so into the idea of fetishizing like a skin tone. It's like, well, I want me a light skin. Pause. I want me a brown skin. Pause. I want me a dark skin. Pause, bro. Like if I'm saying that about a girl, no pause, but like usually out like the tone I was just talking in is kind of like how a woman would talk. So I just said pause just cause. But yeah, most of the time I think the main the main pretense in which people focus on like the subgenres of black, I guess you can call it, is when they're talking about dating, because they're so into the idea of dating just somebody based on their skin tone. You know what I'm saying?
no, I'm just Black.
I'm really interested in this conversation, but for me, my perspective is totally different. I was born in Africa, Ghana. And so the west part, many of us are dark. Then you get to north, they're light. You get to the east and west, many shades. I never knew there was a such thing as colorism till I came to the United States. It's just like you said, you're gonna be Black at the end. It does not matter when it goes down.
Especially in this country.
Exactly.
Right.
It doesn't. You could be the lightest one sitting out of here, but you're Black when it comes down to it. That's it.
Facts.
I have experienced colorism from within the community.
I feel like I can't even comprehend these conversations, bro. I've experienced colorism.
There's kind of like this opinion that light-skinned people.
If you ask
can't
me what
experience
colorism means,
colorism.
I don't
Dating
know
my
what it
current
is, but
boyfriend,
I feel like it'll make sense when
it's
they
a
say
dark-skinned
it.
family. I was whitewashed immediately. I was bougie immediately. I was uppity immediately, and this is before getting to know me.
I
Okay,
think it was
stereotyping somebody
second
based
grade.
off
I
they
vividly
color,
remember I was on the
discriminating against
playground,
somebody based on
and
their
this guy
color.
told
Okay,
me,
that makes
like, your
sense.
skin is blacker than dog shit. And that was like the first like time
Yo,
like
wow.
I had been like, oh, so I am different from everyone. Most of the comments like I got about my color were almost always people within the Black community, but then on top of that, it was always boys. Sure, some girls maybe from time to time,
That's
but it was
wild.
usually always like Black guys, and that always confused me because I'm like, you probably have like a mom or a sister who looks like me. Like, how could you say that?
Yeah, I relate to your story so much. Both my biological mom, dad are Ghanaian, so that's where I get my very darkness from. But my two brothers and sister are light because their mom is from Kenya. Their whole life was so different than mine, and I noticed in America, when we came, everyone was befriending my brother. But when, we'd have to be in circles and they'd have to hold our hands. This is second grade. All the kids would like hold me like this with their finger and then wipe
Wow.
themselves off. And all those names, they would come in and just, say the worst things to me. And I'm in second grade wondering, like, what's going on? Why doesn't my brother get any of this? I was just so confused because, like you said, my whole head is, I'm thinking, wow, all of you guys, if you go back to our continent, you really look like us. What is this? I was extremely confused in the Black population. And, I had to say for years, I really disliked African Americans. Not my cup of tea. Yeah.
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 No, but yeah. I think
We hate ourselves
I
mostly,
think
so.
already
Can't blame you.
being like African, there's already kind of like divide between Africans and African Americans. But then with most of the bullying that I went through being perpetrated by African Americans, I just like really started to dislike
It's
them.
crazy that nowadays it'd be your own race more than anyone else. I just wanted to say that real quick.
And I was like, I don't want to be
They
in
haven't
these
talked
spaces.
about,
I
like,
don't care to.
white
And this
people
is a side
doing that
note.
yet,
This is
at
why
least I
I'm
don't
here, because you
think.
guys are educating me. I didn't know that it was African Americans that was talking shit. So it's like,
Well, that's not necessarily all.
But that's
Not
all
all
the
the time.
Because
Also,
there's
some parents are like.
and that's what I was gonna say
yeah,
too,
yeah.
because you guys are mentioning you guys are in second grade and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like, even my niece already is like, I want straight hair. And it's like, where are you getting this from? Like,
But she's looking at you
already.
though. I was gonna say that about the
No, well, I mean,
Yeah.
I became aware of colorism during childhood, early childhood.
Right.
At that, y'all, they was in what, second grade, running around the playground. They had a chant: "If you're black, stay back. If you're brown, stay
Stick
around.
around.
If you're light, you're just right." I remember hearing that song
Wow.
on the playground from me being 6, 7 years old. I knew, okay, I don't have a problem with my skin tone, but society does.
and that's what I'm saying. Like,
know.
where do they even get that from? Like the parents, like where
Yes,
are
of
they
course.
getting this from?
That's why. Yes, of course. So I have a sister, and she's your guys' beautiful complexion. And I remember when we were younger,
No
we would
glaze,
put our
bro.
arms together, and I go, "Ha ha, I'm gonna make it." And this is when I was a lot lighter too.
No problem too. No, I'm just kidding.
But I'm gonna fast forward again. I'm out in Europe doing my thing, music or whatever, and I go to my sister and I'm like, Z, I'm sorry. I don't know. It just came out. I was like, Z, I'm always sorry that I did this, and I'm sorry that I never told you were beautiful. I'm your brother. I need you here. Don't leave me. I'm going crazy. And at that moment, I realized I'm free from this colorism thing.
The interesting thing about it is
That's
that
dope.
in my own family, there are varying shades. I notice how sometimes that my brother, who is a little bit darker, would get treated versus how I might get treated. But then I also sometimes notice how my younger brother,
I don't see
who
any of this
is
in
a
my
little bit more
daily
lighter
life,
skinned,
though.
would get treated compared to me or my older
Not to
sister
say
or
it's
whatever. There were
not
girls
happening,
that
but
I liked.
I just never
Beautiful black
noticed
girls growing
how
up that I
serious
liked
this was.
that were like, oh, well, you know, you're not maybe like as dark. You're not like that dude. Or people would look at you and be like, oh, you got all this education. Yeah, you're just a white kid. You don't talk like a black kid. I'm like, what does that even mean? Right? Because all of us are wanting to get opportunities to be more educated so we can do bigger things in the world. We should be aiming for that. So when I would get made fun of sometimes some of the black girls I'd be trying to talk to, those experiences were even kind of turning me against my own people. You know what I mean? And so being light-skinned in that sense, sometimes you feel like you don't necessarily have a home because you're like, okay, I'm not trying to be white, but I got white people kind of like relating to me and giving me a little pat on the back. But then I'm trying to be with my people, but then it's like, oh, well, you're not really black enough.
All right, can we have the disagree step forward?
We are stressing
Both sides. Both sides can't accept you.
Out of here.
I don't feel like light-skinned people experience colorism. However, I do feel like their experiences that light-skinned people can have that are negative. Because I've had people tell me, oh, you know, you're not black, you damn near white. It bothers me, but that's all. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's it. I'm not gonna say y'all are being colorist toward me because y'all are talking about my skin. It is annoying, but it's like, I feel like that's insulting for me to say, well, this is reverse colorism. Because none of anything that I will ever go through will ever touch what I know y'all have gone through. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Can I just cut in really quick?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say it's like offensive, it's just a bit reductive. You
Right.
understand? Y'all gonna make me be the insufferable woke
No,
woman
no,
the
say
whole
what you
time.
gotta say. Say what you gotta say.
I know we talked about earlier the opinion that light-skinned people don't experience colorism. For me, that's not an opinion.
Right.
And I don't want it to be where light-skinned people can never share their experiences, especially when it comes to the invalidation of blackness. You understand? I claim y'all. Y'all are
Right.
just as black as I am. So you should have the space to discuss these experiences,
like she don't really
especially if
believe
they
that for real.
traumatized you. I just want to say your experience doesn't have to be colorism to be valid.
I'm probably just gonna pair it off of you too, because I agree with you wholeheartedly. But I view isms the same, like just how there is no reverse racism, there is no reverse colorism. Like we don't experience colorism. We experience prejudice based off of our skin color, but it's not the same thing.
Or resentment relating to colorism.
Right.
Yeah.
I think
I
go
agree
ahead,
with
go
that.
ahead.
That's my experience, because that's why I was saying earlier that I know that colorism can't necessarily be placed on us, but there's the word. And like I said, found the term. Educating me.
Just to clarify, and I understand where you're coming from. For me, I'm not talking about it in the sense of I'm going to experience the same level of disadvantage.
Fair.
I think a lot of light-skinned people, our experiences are more internal. It has to do with identity. It has to do with feeling like we have a space within the community when it comes to these issues. Because I do feel like we're
See, I'm looking at some of these people right now, and I'm like, I don't even know if I would classify y'all as light skin or dark skin. You know what I mean? Which lets you know how like silly these subcategories really is, bro. It's like we all black, bro. Like it ain't really no threshold for light skin, brown skin, dark skin. It shouldn't be. We all black. You feel me?
locked in when it comes to stuff where we're going that way.
Yeah.
Right? But then sometimes as we start stepping back a little bit closer to home,
You ain't never lied.
we begin to be like, oh, wait a minute, are you really one of us? Are you really with? And then it becomes negative. So that can
Right.
impact how we stand together as a unified front. That's kind of more my point.
And I honor that.
I have benefited from colorism.
Okay. Everybody came.
I can say the way
almost
I've
everybody.
benefited from it has not been by much, but has been an extravagant in a way. Number one, I've been to places that you would consider the hood, and nobody ever messes with me. And I've come to find out that it's like, even in Mexican neighborhoods, black neighborhoods, everything, it's more of an interest. Like, you're not from around here. And I'll make my accent even a little thicker. The second part of the benefiting from it is I look very, very, very different. And coming into California, I was at a bookstore and I was casted by a producer to be in national commercials and TV just because I was very dark. They approached me and they said, wow, where are you from? You have a very unique look. You know, I feel like the benefit for me is that there's more of a harder shell. You don't really know what to think. When you see a person as dark as me, you know, is he wild, is he crazy, or is he just chill?
Right.
Yeah.
It almost
crazy
feels
that
like
that's even a
sometimes
thought
the
that
benefits
people have,
of it don't really
myself
feel like
included.
benefits in a sense because they come
Feels
almost
bad.
with their own kind of tiered disadvantages, right? So if, you know, at being a light-skinned man, right, my mom is Caribbean. My mom's from the Bahamas, and my dad is Creole from New Orleans. My dad is like really light-skinned, and my mom is like more dark, kind of somewhere in the middle. Being a Caribbean American, it's kind of weird in the sense because you have people looking at you being like, oh, okay, like you look a little bit different. You got more of an exotic look, as some people might say. In that benefit, that doesn't really feel like a benefit to me because I see how my other brothers and sisters are being treated that are dark skinned or might be a little darker than me. So I don't really see that as an advantage.
Do you believe colorism affects us more within our community or with the outside of our community?
To be quite honest with you, I think
I
in
don't even
some ways
comprehend that
it does
question.
affect us a little bit more inside of the
Inside of our
community.
community, you think so?
I can say
My
not
brain
in terms
hurts.
of economics, not in terms of opportunity per se. I think that's more outside. I'm just talking about the way we see each other.
The way we
the
treat
way
each
we
other.
treat each other.
That's crazy.
The
I've
way
been
we
to black
converse
communities
with each
and
other.
I don't see the whole, it might be a passing joke every now and again, like, oh, bro, your shoes are whack, you know, oh, you're light skinned, but it's not like a thing where it's oppressing us.
There's a lot of, especially in the conversations, for example, light skin. There is an aspect of our masculinity that gets questioned when it comes to whether it's being tough, being more emotional. Like society and culture shows black men to be, you gotta be tough, you gotta be strong. That's what you're seeing in music videos.
Dark-skinned black men,
Right,
normally.
exactly. That's what you're seeing more in culture being presented to you. This is like what blackness looks like, right? For the most part. So then now, people be pulling your card all the time, trying to see if you're really about it. They be trying to see, oh, you're gonna be soft. And that happens inside of our community.
I would say I benefited because my previous job to what I'm working now, we had a darker skinned woman and myself, and the darker skinned woman quit. And then I was literally late to work about 2 hours for about 2 years, and I never got fired. And I know it's because the one black person quit, the other one is still here. We can't just fire our last black person.
Wow.
So I know I benefited from that, just being black, because I was, once again, a
It's definitely a
diversity
thing.
number. And it's gonna look bad on the company if you fire your last black person.
That's true.
I remember I was in 6th grade, and there was one of the black kids, because I grew up in Arcadia, California. It's predominantly Asian and white. For some reason, I'm not gonna tell the teacher's name because she's probably dead by now, and I don't want to.
Dang, that's crazy.
She like just constantly picked on him, like constantly, just going out of her way to pick on him. and she didn't pick on me the way she picked on him. Even as young as 6th grade, I realized like there's a difference in how you're treated based on your skin color.
When I was younger, I didn't realize that the privilege was there because the conversation of colorism never happened in my home. There was okay, well, I don't know it exists. I don't experience it. Ain't nobody talking about it. And so I didn't know. And so it's like as I became more socially aware and I actually seen what the reality of it is, it's like, it's not just mean and nasty remarks. Within the system, it is
Being
life or
your
death.
teacher being nice to you.
Yeah, it can
bro.
literally go from somebody just saying.
I wanted to pause the video and say, if I was in this room with these people, bro, I would definitely just be listening. I would hardly be contributing to the conversation because I can barely follow along right now. I don't really know what is being discussed. Like, I'm hearing what they saying, but I don't necessarily know exactly why they saying it. Like, I have benefited from colorism. I mean, I guess I kind of understand that, but it's, I don't know. I'm a little, you feel me? A little shaken up, right? Not shaken up, but like a little confused, you feel me?
It's something nasty, something colorist to treating a lighter skinned person better to a darker skinned person dying. And I know good and goddamn well, I experience a privilege and I know that it's there. So, you know, that's how I feel about it.
So yeah, interesting here you say that because, you know, in West Africa, most of y'all may know that there's a big problem with skin lightening. We're seeing it across the continents. You know, now they're having to fight it, make it illegal, but it's becoming so much that people are saying, well, I'm not gonna get any type of opportunity unless I'm a little bit lighter.
Right. Wow.
And to think that you have to go to that
Even in
point
Africa?
to feel that you'll get an opportunity.
Survival, though. They see it and they're
Right.
trying to survive.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'll say what?
The experience of like being the only dark-skinned person in my school like was just horrible, and being
it's gotta be
Senegalese,
tough.
although like in Africa,
was always only
it's like you're not
one of the
experiencing
black
the
kids,
racism
but
you do here
never
because everyone's
just a
black. I
dark
did
skin.
notice there was an issue with skin lightening. Like I knew my aunts who had products, my cousins. Like it's very rampant there.
Were you ever close? I'm just curious if you've ever been close to skin lightening, bleaching. Did
Yeah.
You almost did?
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're gorgeous. You better never.
Right.
You better figure it out. At all. You better figure it out. What a twisted thing.
Looking
Like
great.
the sun was made for you. Like the greatest source of life was made for you, and because of media. I'm sorry. Excuse me. We allow ourselves. Well, that's a trip to me. Go ahead.
Have I ever benefited from colorism? Of course not. It's designed for me not to benefit from it. I also found it interesting that the two dark-skinned black men stepped forward for benefiting and we stayed behind because research actually does reflect that at least socially, dark-skinned women do face deeper implications of colorism. So when I saw them step forward and not us, I was like, okay,
I understand
that's
that.
familiar to me.
The only reason that us as black men stepped forward, especially me being from America, is because, yeah, we get more opportunities in the film and the music and all that, but then what are they putting? They're putting a gun in our hand, or they're putting us in a dress, or they're not, show me a positive example that you have of a brother that looks like me on the screen. All I'm saying is that opportunity that we have, it's an illusion of opportunity. So when you say that the statistics said that black women actually suffer more from colorism, I don't believe that that's true.
That's not what I said. Actually, what I said, the
Oh, man.
social
Here
implications
she
are
go.
deeper. I did
don't
not
believe
say
that
that dark skin, you don't have to believe it. There are research.
It's not because you can find positive. You can find. Lastly, you can find positive.
Why did it
images
just
of black women
escalate
on
out of
television.
nowhere?
Oh, of course.
You cannot of black men.
I understand there's an illusion of opportunity because even how you said, like when you walk into the hood, you're safe. That's based on the perception of you being
And that
aggressive as a
tension
dark
just
skin.
got high out of nowhere. Everybody was so buddy-buddy.
For instance, within the justice system, we're typically penalized more harshly than light-skinned people just on average. So I would never deny the experiences of colorism for dark-skinned men. The implications are just deeper. Socially and beauty standards especially
Beauty standards, yes,
typically
that I
do
agree.
affect women more harshly. So I just wanted to be very, very clear about that. And the last thing is there's a lot of I feel. I didn't feel this in my experience, so this system doesn't exist. This oppression doesn't exist, and I want to be careful of that because, like I said, when personal lived
feel like
experience
nobody
is
likes
not
this
enough,
lady
we
now,
gotta
bro.
go to data. And some facts data supports, and some facts data does not.
The entertainment industry prefers light-skinned black people.
Probably, yeah.
Statistically,
I don't
like
know.
dark-skinned black men
Definitely
fill
back
more
in the
acting
day.
roles. But again, we talked about that earlier. That's usually where thugs
I don't
and
know
pimps
about
or
now.
gangsters or whatever. And especially women. I think this is definitely one of the areas that women suffer from the most. And that goes back to the first Black woman to win an Oscar. And the thing that bothers me the most is not only does that happen, but then we had it was like a run where we had Django, 12 Years a Slave, The Help, The Butler.
That was a rough time period.
There was a run.
No,
I was like,
but the
man.
problem is
Okay, they
that's
back to
what
Buddy
they
Buddy.
want to
Nice.
continue to see us as, is the mammies and the Black people that are scared of the ghost or all of this stuff. So that's not going to change.
But also like just a positive light of a Black family, it's always light skinned. Like you had Fresh Prince, they changed out Aunt Viv. You have Martin, it's a bunch of light skins. You know what I'm saying? Like
Blackish.
Yeah, Blackish.
right.
It's always light skinned. Even Fresh Prince, except for the dad, it's all the new Fresh Prince it's all light skinned. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, and I feel like lighter skinned people in the industry are allowed to be so mediocre and bland because people think, oh yeah, this is what looks good. So I feel like light skinned people are allowed to just kind of be like flat and dull and still get these big opportunities and be in these spaces where they're able to get so much and it's kind of like,
You guys are all speaking complete facts, nothing to disagree with there. There have been light-skinned actresses, Thandie Newton, Zendaya, Amanda Steinberg,
Halle Berry.
who have opened up and said, yes, we do benefit from colorism. Zendaya, I believe, even says she turns down roles where she feels like she's being used to kind of tokenized or to replace a role that should, or you can say should have went to a dark-skinned woman. So I just want to highlight that there are things that can be done, and a simple acknowledgement of privilege goes a long way.
And can we not pass by off of this without Zoe Saldana playing Nina Simone?
Oh my goodness, we can't get past that. We can't go without.
What I definitely notice is when we look at the media side of it, lately dark-skinned people will play more of these roles of thugs and anything that can scare you from us. And then when it comes to the light-skinned men, you guys do see that they're making it a little bit more sensitive. There's this like, oh wow, Dreamy, he's so sensitive.
That's Tyler Perry effect.
That's what I'm saying.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's
And
the
then
portrayal.
when you go to the women, let's look on the entertainment side. What is sad to see that you can have the light-skinned women rap about the same thing, and as soon as the dark-skinned women come in, that one, she's dirty and whatever, and they can rap the same thing, and you cannot find the beauty in the dark-skinned.
Maybe I'm just too young, bro.
I also find that lately,
because I never felt the severity
Black-driven
of
shows here in America seem
half the
very.
things they're talking about.
They got the women looking a little more. Not looking accent that, and
Aggressive.
also a little ratchet, and I don't want to use the wrong terms.
It's
but
ratchet.
they're not
Hypersexual.
The
They're not-
Jezebel.
I think it's also a point when you look into Black
me
media
being
and
black
what we
hasn't
as a
really
culture
mattered that much in
consume.
my
I think
life, to be honest.
when I think of like Tyler
terms of
Perry
how
and
I
like what
was
he's
treated,
done
at
with
least I
Medea,
don't think.
I just hate it. Or just like the Zeus Network, and it doesn't paint Black people in a positive light.
I noticed with baddies, it is like the women are so.
You talking about the show?
Yeah, like
I thought you were talking about regular everyday
No,
baddies.
the show. On the show, like, I feel like they do things outside of, fighting each other and drinking. I'm like, these are beautiful women, they're talented, they have a way of bringing people in, and it's kind of like the way that Baddies paints them is like, baddie, shot of clocks, and y'all gonna, give each other knuckle sandwiches and shit. And I'm like, come on, like, it's like I would watch it if they were giving business advice, if they were talking about, but I know they won't, you know what I'm saying? I know they won't, but it's like that representation is like,
I'm tired of us and still uplift all Black queens, whatever. But I'm done with us only uplifting the hairstylist that we know. That's what every Black girl wants to do now is be a singer or a hairstylist. Or we need to. What about the Black scientists and the Black, lawyers or doctors? Like that's where we are kind of messing up in our media. Not gonna talk too long. That's all I gotta say about that.
The reason I disagree is because it depends on the role. So like if we have a movie like Boys in the Hood, or we have a movie like Don't Be a Menace, it is gonna be dark-skinned Black people, unfortunately.
Can I ask the ladies one question? Do you guys consume media such as like the Bad Girls Club and listen to Sexy Red and stuff like that? Like, do you guys listen to that kind of stuff and watch that kind
You
of stuff?
sounded like such
Honestly,
a boomer saying Sexy
I
Red.
watch baddies, and it's entertaining to me.
I have here and there.
Yeah. If it comes on, hey, okay. I don't listen to it
Do you
on my
believe
own.
that these things reinforce negative stereotypes of the Black woman?
I have an answer for that.
You go.
While I acknowledge that representation matters, I also don't really jive well with respectability politics, and I feel like in these conversations, that's where we veer towards. I would like to see more balance in the industry at large, specifically the music industry. Because let's be clear, if every woman in a rap game was Lauryn Hill, I still wouldn't like it, because every black woman is not Lauryn Hill. This hypersexual image is just da-da-da.
Those are the ones that are getting selected.
Those are the ones who are being placed in the mainstream. I understand why that's problematic. I feel like a reason that black women gravitate towards this type of content, of course it can be entertainment, whatever, but I think there's a freedom that black women feel sometimes. Black women are very heavily policed in society, right? But telling black people, behave, because you're making them think they already thought that.
Exactly.
They already thought that. I don't like giving white supremacists a pass, and I feel like that's what we love to do with respectability politics.
Right.
Oh, that's the way they view us that way. No, it's not. They did not go to Africa all them centuries ago and enslave us because some people sag their pants and twerk.
I'm not talking about how they look at us. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about our community. I'm talking about what these, I'm saying look out. I don't know what your guys' algorithms are looking like on your social media, but look out and see what these little girls, I remember there's this one video of this girl I saw, she's a ballet teacher, and she was like crying because she was like, your girls want to listen to Sexy Red and all this stuff. No, but that's what's happening. And I don't believe that having a balance of the Sexy Reds and the Lauryn Hills is gonna be a net positive for our community.
I think you can talk about like respectability and palatability and all these things and get into the politics of, oh, whether we should have to deal with that because other races don't have to deal with that. I don't think that's conducive or helpful, because I think black people and black culture are in a unique position where we do kind of need to look out for ourselves a bit more. Black kids grow up saying, oh, I want to be an NBA star, all of these things, where it's just like, maybe like not even 1% make it.
Yeah.
Whereas you go to other communities, kids are like, I want to be an engineer, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a lawyer, and like we do need more of that. And I think it's okay to acknowledge that our culture does have a lot of work to do.
Oh yeah,
being like,
absolutely.
Oh well, you know, white people don't have to deal with this. I think it's just white supremacy to like.
Or to
talk
even
about.
put them in the conversation, period.
Yeah,
We're
it's not about them.
Being pro-black is not being anti-white. We need to stop even talking about them. We need to start talking about what is good for us, because we are under attack. We can all at least agree that we are under attack. There is a system, but we can beat it.
Yeah.
A lot of beating it comes with boycotting, coming together though, and saying we're gonna worry about our own.
I, at this point, really don't look to pop culture for representation as a black woman. We're gonna start there. My representation is not in the rap.
There you go.
It's not
There
in
you
the
go.
rap game. It's Audre Lorde, it's bell hooks. That's my representation as a black feminist, an intersectional feminist, a black woman.
People take me more seriously when I alter my hair.
One
For
time I was
niggas,
on a
for
Zoom call
sure.
with my manager, and I had a curly wig on. And she's like, you know, no response. The next day, I have a straight one. She's like, oh my God, what did you do? You look so cute. What the heck? Oh my, and I'm like, all I did was change my hair.
That's crazy.
Previous jobs, I never wear my hair. Every single day. Is that your hair? Is that your hair? Is that your hair? Is that your hair? My last day, she's like, oh, I thought you were gonna wear your hair. It's your last day. It's just crazy that, why does it matter? And then I've heard it before too, like even black women going out shopping, if they have a fro, they're treated differently compared to when their hair is straight. We got some mental work to do.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say, is everything, all of that matters, all of your skin tone, your hair. But you go back to like the 60s, 70s when the Black Panthers were coming and all the women were wearing it natural. I do that. I wear these. I like to wear these for like more of, I don't have to do my hair every day. I don't want to worry about whatever. But when I pull this thing out, and I make sure I look at everybody like a little serious, because I'm like, yeah, you know, the power that comes with it. And we need to just start reinforcing, especially with our next generations, how beautiful our natural is.
I'm a political science major, so I'm not part of the School of Business. But all my friends in the School of Business, every time summer comes around, they're about to get an internship, they get the big chop, because they know as soon as they get in them jobs, if they do not have short hair, they're not going to be taken seriously. They might not even be let in the door. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, colorism has a little raggedy cousin. Her name is texturism. That's what we're discussing now.
I hadn't even heard of that one.
Yeah, it's texturism. That's why black people still have to fight to wear natural styles in corporate spaces. I don't know if you guys heard about the story of a young, beautiful black boy with locks who hasn't been to school in like over 180 days because they're trying to force him to cut his locks to return to school. I didn't walk forward because,
That's dumb, bro.
I mean, I just don't, I've pretty much always been some variation of natural. Now, I will tell you, it was a bit of a shock to realize that texturism is still a thing in the lock community, right? Because I thought, okay, we're all working with our natural styles. That's the point of locks. We don't have to deal with this. But I don't really get treated differently because I have one hairstyle, but it's the, oh, you don't want to slick down your edges, or you need a retwist. No, I don't. I didn't get one for this.
Right. I know that's right.
You understand? My
Looks
hair.
beautiful. It looks beautiful.
Thank you. So does yours. My hair shouldn't have to be neat and perfectly twisted for me to be palatable or accepted. But that is even with newborns, the damn placenta perm, the baby coming out, the mama, I've seen Facebook posts, my baby's hair, look at this good hair on my baby from a newborn.
I hate that term.
Can't
so
even
much.
hold the neck up yet.
And that's something that
We're
you're already having to deal with that,
So,
that type of a situation. There were times where I'm like, oh, well, if I'm going to this meeting or if I'm trying to get this job, I'm not going to be able to wear this. Those are things that you have to think about in terms of, this standard that is set and presenting yourself to the world.
Working at Six Flags at one point, dreads were not allowed, or like locks were not allowed. You would have to bring.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, no, locks were not allowed, and you had to bring
Do
in a
other races
note
have
from your
restrictions
spiritual
on their hair?
advisor
That's crazy.
as to why you have them.
We all flinched a little bit, like,
Yeah,
What the hell?
No, that goes back to the topic at hand. This is a theme park. How
Right.
serious do they need to be taken?
Right.
Facts.
And here I am, a black woman, having to tell people like, oh, you have to cut your hair. Your locks that you just grew
Yeah.
for years, you have to cut them off or not get a job. Like, that is crazy to me.
A lot of the dudes I know and myself, I like natural. It's just period. And I think women in general get berated by media and culture by beauty standards. I think black women, y'all get slammed even harder in terms of that. So I believe that us as black men in the community need to encourage, like, what you have naturally is beautiful. And I think the more that we do that from a young age, now they're gonna have that standard in the home, which is really where the strength of blackness came from. You have your choice. If you wanna wear your hair however you want, if you wanna get a weave, if you want, cool. But don't do it because there's a level of insecurity or lack of pride in who you are and how you represent
That's
yourself.
easier said than done, but I feel
No,
I
it is,
feel
but
you.
here's my
I
thing.
feel
Here's my thing though. I think this is the thing. There's a lot of things in our community that's easier said than done, and the problem is this.
We've been talking about easier said than done this whole
we gotta
time.
get to the ugly, we've gotta get to the ugly work of grabbing the shovel and digging in the dirt. And we may not finish the work. Our kids and our great grandkids might be the ones that are building the platforms and the levels of us climbing the rings of society.
You're a good
But
politician.
We gotta get
Very
that
well
work
said.
done.
No, hold
We
on.
gotta
You're a
get that
good
work
politician.
These people
but look
all
at the
speak way
statistics
too
of
well,
what's
bro.
happening is all I'm saying. I
I don't think I can
everything
fully
you're
sense
saying.
this
You're
quick at
talking
all.
to a poli-sci person that understands statistics. What I'm saying is this. Statistics, if we don't do anything about it, will not
But
change.
that's what I was about to
And
say,
that's
because
what I'm
you're saying
we
that
gotta
our
do
kids,
something.
you're
We
saying
gotta-
our kids and our grandchildren are doing this. That's we're.
They could do it.
No, I'm saying they can't.
Okay,
We gotta do the work.
good, though.
We gotta get out there and start
Good.
the work.
I hope my kids are the same skin tone as me.
Come on,
That
black
boy walked
man.
up proud
Jeez.
as hell. That's hard.
Go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
I don't mind what tone my kids would end up, but I've always had this, imagination in my mind of seeing a little me. Yeah. Because for what I went through and being such a lonely kid, and when I go back to Ghana, I sometimes go by the orphanages or where the children are, and I see the kids just as dark as me. And then for me, I remember, wow, you guys have no idea what's going on in America, but you guys are enjoying your skin and your pride. The most interesting thing about this is when I was here in America and dating, the black girls would literally tell me they didn't want their kids as dark as me.
They didn't want them to.
So I had a hard time dating because I would hear that, from the snicker, I don't want my kids that black. No. And so,
It's crazy.
There came to a point in my life where I just thought, I don't think I'm gonna see a mini-me ever. And I take it as human, but at the same time, at this point,
Gotta laugh at that pain.
Yeah, you laugh at it and say, wow, it'd be kind of cool to have that little
Have
one
you,
as
though.
dark as me and just be like, yo, this is what it's gonna be like, but you're not gonna scar, you're not gonna get bruised, you're not, and enjoy it.
Now that I am so secure with who I am and I know the science of how beautiful we are, I'm like, oh man, I just pray that when we have our few kids, that at least one of them or two of them, or hopefully all of them, look like me, because I know so much about my history and the science of black and beauty that I just want to instill that in them, because I feel like that's what the world needs more of, is people like you who are you're gorgeous, man. Like, we're gorgeous. The sun, I'm sorry to keep saying that, but the sun was made for us. That's the most beautiful gift that God could have given us, is that we don't burn in the sun. And they're psychologically trying to like make that such an ugly thing. And kids are the ones that suffer from it the most. And I hope that you have kids as black as you. And I hope I have kids as black as you. Any black person I've ever seen that looks like you, perfect, pure skin.
Very factual. Very factual. It's not something I hope for. You know what I mean? It's not something I'm praying on. But if it happens, I'm cool with it. It's like, yeah, it'd be great. But it's not a deal breaker. I'm still let a kid regardless, of course. You know what I mean? That's all I wanted to say.
I wouldn't say that, like, I hope, like, obviously if they're the same skin tone as me, like, that's fine. Like, I'd love you if you were any skin tone. But I think I'd kind of just take the chance, like, if they turned out as me, to take the chance to, like, raise them the way I would have wanted to be loved more, and kind of just show them that no matter, like, what goes on outside, just know that none of that matters. It's your character that matters, and kind of just bring them up with that, like, confidence that I didn't get.
I just don't plan on having children. That's why she said that's some kids. I mean, I don't know, it kind of feels icky for me to say I would prefer a child be a certain color. A child is not a resource, it's a human being.
Right.
So if you fall in love with somebody or you don't.
I just don't care. Like, if you're darker than me, lighter than me, that's cool. You're still my daughter, son, or they, them, whatever. It doesn't matter. I'm still gonna love you no matter what. So
Yeah.
doesn't matter.
That's my mentality too. You're my seed. And at that point, I think that obviously boils down into whatever the mom is gonna bring into the picture. And I think that at the end of the day, a child hopefully would be an expression of love. I'm gonna raise you to know that you're supposed to be confident in who your identity is as a human being, a black man, and someone that's supposed to contribute to the world.
If your seed comes out like this color, they come to you like, Dad, all of this stuff is being said to me, or the cops are treating me this way. Are you
navigate them
do you get what I'm saying? Are you afraid that you won't have the wherewithal to teach them how to go through that?
No, being black is not, even though there are aspects of it, skin tone, things like
Dark,
that,
right? That's what I'm
it
saying.
is an experience that we all in some way have had experiences we can relate to it. I know what it's like to be pulled over by the police and almost put in cuffs over doing absolutely nothing, right? And so
Almost put in cuffs or put in cuffs?
No, I say almost being put in cuffs.
Because I've been put in cuffs for doing nothing.
And I got you on that. But we don't all have, as black people across the board, we don't all have the same experiences. But if my son came to me or my daughter came to me at some point in life and they're like, I'm going through this, I know what it feels like just from a black man's perspective, but also because that's someone I love and I care about. That's something that I'm also gonna be even more so able to share in, because that's also my seed.
I don't care about what complexion my kids are. And the thing is that me saying I don't care is not like I'm tossing things out the way, because we're gonna have them conversations.
Absolutely.
Y'all gonna sit down and we're gonna talk, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And if there is a point that I can't, where I just can't, because it's just something things I don't experience, things I don't understand, I know, like, we have a village. It's always a village around, so if it's not the baby pappy, if it ain't his pappy, it can be close people that are trusted that know. So I feel like there's always going to be somebody around that is gonna be able to aid in conversations I might not be able to have, or even somebody else that just might not be able to have. But I'm gonna love my
Bro,
children.
I wish I was smart enough to enjoy this video, bro.
I like what you said. It takes a village. Like, and not saying that I would like outsource my parenting. So
Even more, I should say. I'm enjoying it, but I wish I could enjoy it more.
darker skinned cousins on my mom's side, you feel me? And my uncles are darker skinned, you feel me? So
Right.
like, whether it's like asking them to talk to my children or just asking them to educate me on the stuff I don't know because I'm not a dark skinned person. You feel
Right.
me?
Colorism is one of the determining factors for power structure of the world.
All I can say is I just
Oh,
know it,
everybody
dude. Like, I
came
can't
forward.
even explain it. It just do. Like, it's kind of, it just do. I just know it's one of them things where it's so many like isms and
layered.
phobics. Yeah, it thrown into a pot. And I know what's in there. I can't explain it, but I know.
Now I'm speaking from the heart. She's
That's how I feel.
When I think of this topic, I immediately go to like caste systems. So like when I think of like India, for example, it's terrible. Like if you're darker, then you're on the bottom of the totem pole and so on. So I think in terms of like opportunity and social mobility for people. I'd say it's a bigger issue outside of the US, in like developed countries, I'd say.
It's a bigger issue outside of the United States?
It's
In
rough.
some nations.
I do, because I'm not gonna lie, like when she said the prompt, it's like I wasn't just thinking us here. I'm
Yeah,
thinking
I was
in the
thinking
world, I'm
global.
thinking
The world,
everywhere.
global,
Yeah, you know, I'm thinking globally.
I was
'cause
only
it's like,
thinking United
definitely
States.
understand, you know.
Socioeconomic status.
I believe it's
Yeah.
every place, but I think it.
Now you're gonna start, you gotta finish now, bro.
The reason why I was kind of like, it was hard for me to come up here at first was because I view like a lot of the isms as like how they maintain the current hierarchical system, you feel me, or caste system, you feel me?
Come on,
So like,
science.
yeah, I guess determining factor, but I don't think it's like the main,
Yeah.
the main factor. I think
Like, it's definitely
I think
in
it's
there.
what contributes
Yes.
to the main factor.
Deep.
Yes.
What's going on is
Yes,
deep.
that's
What's
what
going
it
on
is,
is multi-layered,
yes.
for sure.
Yes.
For you to talk about colorism, you would have to talk about racism, and you would have to talk about
Then you gotta talk about
everything
capitalism.
You have to talk about
else.
it. No, it's true because that the selling of slaves to be profitable to even then create a system of race in
Now
which
y'all see
you
why I
then
keep
were
bringing up white
subjugated, and it's not
supremacy.
only associated where you come from, it's associated with your skin. Because what we forget is when it comes to colorism, all over the world, if you worked out in the fields, I mean, I'm talking about people that if they had red skin, right? If you worked out in the fields, that was a sign that you were, by someone just looking at you, that you were not part of the nobility. These people would walk around with umbrellas and things like that. So in America, it was pretty much the only place where we're gonna say, wait a minute, not only is this something that signifies your place in society, but we're gonna associate it with you at birth. And we're gonna create a whole system of that. And that's why, to me,
not only here, though.
I think, they're not the only, but I think racism, as far as I'm concerned, is probably the
I
biggest
feel like bro really
topic
just likes to
that
disagree.
affects us. Because think about
My
this,
boy in the
before all
orange, I
this
think.
stuff happened, none of us were
Yeah.
conscious about, oh, well, you're lighter, you're better,
He
all this other
outspoken
stuff.
also.
And now
I
these
respect
things
it.
that we were not thinking about affects us internally at home, even while we're still trying to fight it out there.
That's why I didn't automatically come up because I just went past it. I went,
Racism.
yeah, I just went straight there.
Yeah, I get that.
Because when it comes down to like who runs the U.S. and all this stuff, I don't feel like we're ever going to get there. The closest we got was having a black president, and even that was like
He was not really a black
Yeah,
president.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, even that was like that.
You guys might hate me for this, but I actually don't think racism is the determining factor. I think it is the main determining factor that upholds the system of capitalism. I don't think once we figure out racism or something, everything's gonna go away. I think racism just maintains the class system. Like that's all. I
Yeah,
think.
oppression works on the axes. Of course, I would agree with this. That's kind of what we've been delving into this whole time, and I think the prompt definitely said one of. Correct. Colorism does determine certain power dynamics. I'm so glad you brought up the term caste system. You talked about in other nations where, like I said, there are
even
entire
know what that means.
socioeconomic statuses developed out of colorism. Even within the U.S. historically, most of the affluent black families, Reconstruction era and post then, were lighter skinned. A lot of them kept their bloodlines lighter skinned on purpose because of the affluence that came with that. These things are generational. Those affluent black families who had the resources to give their kids more than others, they passed it down, they passed it down, they passed it down. What can you pass down when you have nothing?
Nothing. Well,
You
I like
know?
when MLK said it the best. He said, they keep telling us to pull up ourselves up our bootstraps and we have no boots. I love that.
Yeah. That's kind of what I've been trying to say. Yeah.
Right.
There were documents that were re-earthed from the 20th century where black people who were applying for jobs post-slavery, they included being fair-skinned on the application above
Dang,
their
bro.
actual skills because it would guarantee them better employment. So I think it's
crazy.
definitely one of the things that determines the distribution of power.
I wanted to say this to the light-skinned people too, and I'm glad, in my mind, when we was about to do this, I had a whole different
You thought it was gonna be a debate.
thought. I had a whole different thought of the light-skinned people that can be here. You guys are so earthed, you're so grounded, and that's why it's like, don't forget the history of what's going on to your darker brothers and sisters. I know you won't, but it's time for us to gather together and for us to fight it
This
fight it
video was
together.
kinda
Because,
just like-
yeah, we can talk about what
It
happened.
was kind of just like light skins pulled up to be like, hey, y'all darker ones, man, hang in there. I see what's happening to y'all. You know what I mean? I salute y'all. It was kind of like this, bro. Like, it felt as if all their experiences were not, you know what I'm saying, as significant or as important as the darker ones. I guess because maybe they have less typically when it comes to colorism, but that's just what it felt like. He was
And
like,
and
yeah,
you
don't
see
forget
these-
about what happens
these,
to us,
people
y'all.
on the social medias and stuff talking all the time. Black people are complaining about blah, 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 blah. It's time for us to have a new Tulsa and say, now we made it. And
Right.
because now the cameras are on everywhere.
Yep.
They bomb us now, we can go, now look.
Right.
We ain't talking about before, today now. And not just this black person over here or this one over here, but all of us came together, we
Right.
did this, and you guys did it again. Now what? And then we know we're at war.
And yeah, and I think to what you're saying, there's a distrust in our own community of one another when it comes to buying and supporting what we own. And I think if we want to have industry in anything, if we want something to grow, we need to build something just like we did back in the 20s and like we did in the 50s, where the black community was the center of commerce. We had the most educated, we had the most sophisticated, and of course they were bombed. There were 7 other Black Wall Streets in this country
Oh, yeah,
that doesn't
very
get
much.
talked about
Yep.
because Tulsa was the biggest one. If you want to see something change, we got to start supporting the people that are they're working on the clothing brands. They're working on the businesses. They want to start the banks. They want to come together. That's how
buy
we're
real
going to
estate,
build a community, and then we can pass something on that they can keep building upon for the future.
I agree
Because
with
until we do that, all we're doing is preaching to the choir and complaining.
But that starts with the family. That starts at the family.
I agree with you,
100%.
100%.
Okay.
It was very nice to hear your guys' opinions and experiences, and it was also great to share our experiences as well, just so we can all see through the eyes of each other and just move forward. Like
That's
that's
what
all I want to
conversation's
do
all
when I'm
about.
saying like we're all black is just figuring out how to move forward.
And it's beautiful to have a platform to show us black people can get together and talk about something positive.
Yeah, and then not be like all negative.
We got to love on each other. That's right. We got to love on each other. That's true.
I just love black people. I just love seeing y'all.
That's dope, man.
Thank you guys.
Thanks, guys.
W video.
I'll go this way. We can't follow.
My boy's the only one on that other side. Hey man, W video. W video, yo, this was probably one of the videos that I spoke way less in, but just because I had trouble keeping up with the conversation most of the time. But I'd like to think, I feel like you guys got the message from the video without me having to like talk 24/7. You know what I mean? Y'all smart. I already know. And probably smarter than me because I had trouble understanding what they were saying at the time. It's like I knew what they were saying, but you know when you hear something, you're like, oh yeah, and that's connecting in your head as you hear it. None of that happened, but I'm sure they was talking that real talk. You know what I mean? So W video by Jubilee, W reaction ? I don't know, but I enjoyed watching it. From what I did understand, hopefully y'all did as well. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what else y'all want to see on the channel. Love y'all, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.